personally use that have helped me broaden my horizon so much and read more and get me back into reading. So I'm going to be sharing that with you guys today. So sit back and relax and let's talk about reading. So I got into reading in the beginning of 2023. I actually saw a Instagram reel of somebody talking about the movie called Me Before You, and I don't know what possessed me, but I looked through the comments and everybody was like, oh, this movie's so good, but the book was better, blah 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 blah. I knew that, like, I had seen the movie before. It's a fairly old movie at this point, and I wanted to watch it, so I told myself, I'm gonna order the book from Amazon, I'm gonna read the book, and then I'm going to watch the movie. I had no intentions of getting into reading. I didn't think about it. I had no idea about Book Talk or Bookstagram and like the bookish world. I just simply wanted to read this book to watch the movie. So I ordered the book and I read it, and it changed my life for a lot of different reasons, but that book was the first book that I was able to finish front to cover in my adult life. I loved reading as a kid, but my main problem was picking up books and never finishing them, which is now I know called DNFing. Thank you to the bookish community for that. But I always loved to read as a kid. I just never could finish a book. But after I finished Me Before You, I kind of was changed in a way. That book really did something to my brain, and my reading took off from there. I loved that book so much, and something that I find myself doing, like in my personal life, is if I read a book that I thoroughly enjoy and I love, it's almost like a bad breakup. Like, you can't let go of that feeling or the way that book made you feel. So I found myself looking to read books that were exactly like Me Before You, something that would destroy me in a sense and change the way I thought, and just romantic, because I am like a romance lover. So that is just a little short story about how I got back into reading. How I kept the momentum going is, like I said, I loved finding books that kind of reminded me of Me Before You. So after I read that book, the second book that I read was The Fault in Our Stars, and then for a while my reading train kind of went along like that, finding books that were similar to the book that I read before. And it took me a very long time to break that cycle, and by no means am I saying that's a bad thing, because it did help me quite a lot, like keep the momentum going. But now that I'm a bookish girly, I know that there's so much more to the realm of reading, but I definitely think doing that helped me. My first tip would be to find out what is your favorite category to read. I also didn't realize when stepping into the bookish world that there are just so many different avenues, so many different genres. There is truly a book for everything, and I guess that could be said about pretty much everything. There's a song for everything, there's a movie for everything, there is a book for everything. So when you're thinking about wanting to read, think about, what is it that I want to read? For me, and they kind of play with my head a little bit because I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to read 150 books this year. I didn't read a single book this week, and I get into my own head, and I'm like, oh my goodness, now I'm calculating how many books that I'll need to read to like catch back up to my goal. And then I feel once you get to that point, you're not reading for a hobby or for leisure or to be better. You're reading to meet a goal, to meet a deadline. And reading is such a beautiful, encapsulating thing, and I hate to see it be used in the sense of like, oh my goodness, I have to read to complete this goal. And I also noticed too that the books that you start reading, you're just looking, you're just looking at words instead of hearing the story, feeling the story, and diving into it. You're just like read to complete the book, to add it to your tab for the end of the year. So do not create a goal starting out. Another tip that I like to take into consideration is when amazing way to find different avenues and different reads that you probably never would have like picked up before. And it's not like something you have to commit to forever, but I definitely think that it helps strengthen that willingness and want to read, because you want to, one, read a good book, right? But two, you want to read a good book and have somebody to talk about it with. My biggest and probably my last tip of all is to have fun. Reading to me is so fun because I get so lost in the words. I get so lost in books. There's been times where I've sat and read for like 2 hours plus because I simply got lost in the pages. There truly are no rules to reading. You know, there's don't have to be, you know, stipulations. It can be exactly what you want it to be, and that is the best part. Go out on a limb, read something that you would never read before, pick up a book and try something new and learn something, have fun. Who gives a fuck? Like, honestly, like, to me, reading is so fun and such a way to escape daily life, even if it's just for a tiny little second. I can live. I've literally lived 1,000 lives. I kid you not. I've lived 1,000 lives since I started reading, and to me, that's the best part. Don't hold yourself back. Don't put limitations. Don't put rules on yourself. Have fun. Read whatever the hell you want, however the hell you want to read it. And that's like the biggest, most honest tip that I can give you. That's it, you guys. That's it. That's all the little tips and tricks that I have for you. Do not compare yourself. Do not look at these Instagrammer bookish girlies and guys who are